All right, let's talk about some more AI. I got inspired by our podcast that we did, Brandon and I, and we were kind of talking a little bit before the show about um, basically the iteration speed of AI and just because I've been doing some art and stuff with it. So we were kind of talking about it's crazy just how many pictures you can make in such a short amount of time and how fast you can really bring an idea to life. And we were kind of going over some of the I guess pros and cons of that. And so that was what sparked some ideas for me of a video to make. And so I guess if I had to call this something, I would call it maybe quantity versus quality or um, iteration speed, I guess. And so the idea being that, the faster you can make something, it's going to affect not only the quality of it, but kind of how you relate to um, that process. So mostly, I guess in this instance, speaking about AI, it'll be on more of the, I guess, creative front as opposed to something that's maybe more technical or solving a very practical problem in the world. Um, I think in the future I'll probably try to do a video talking about AI in both creative and less creative spaces and just kind of the difference there. And maybe there's one might be obviously probably well I guess it's probably more straightforward in the non-creative space basically, um, and it's something where people can just kind of solve for a specific problem and it's not going to really like it'll help humanity and it'll help people, but it won't be as disruptive outside of just maybe automating jobs that were kind of already uh, routine or monotonous. So in that sense it'll be disruptive, but as far as some of the deeper philosophical questions, I don't know that there will be as much pushback or, areas where people are really trying to curb it outside of, again, just saving jobs. So, um, as far as, iteration goes in the creative space, it's a pretty interesting process because, before, if you wanted to have a painting or, some visualization of a creative thing you were trying to do, it would just take hours upon hours to get, even just a rough sketch or a rough idea of what you wanted, that was kind of fleshed out. And now to get to that stage, it's, seconds, minutes, sometimes an hour if you're really trying to fine tune something. But um, it's really lowered the barrier to entry to kind of the creative side of art and stuff. So, what are the pros and cons of having so many iterations of an idea just kind of at your fingertips? And so Brandon and I were kind of talking about, just the swarm of content that's going to be coming our way. And it's going to be something that's, as a creative person, what does that do for you? And then also as a consumer, what does that do for you? So some of the pros of kind of iteration and being able to rapidly prototype is, for a creative person at least, um, I think one cool thing is you get to really kind of go through a lot of different ideas really fast. And so um, just being exposed to new ideas is in and of itself kind of a form of inspiration, I guess. Like as you see more things come forward, then I think creatively minded people will kind of pool from a bunch of different ideas, kind of take the best of each one, and then mash them together into some combination of those things. So when you can very rapidly get a lot of different ideas together in one place and kind of get, I wouldn't say they're more high quality ideas, but being presented with more information through like an AI system, I think you're then presented with more options to draw from, I guess, and put together. So I think that's a pretty cool space where, just being able to, and I mean, people would already do this before where they would go and, they would like pretty common process in the art world is to go kind of put together an inspiration board for each project to pick color schemes or to, so you're pulling images already from other artists, from the web, from movies you like, and you're kind of compiling them all and then you're pulling out, yeah, color schemes, design patterns, and things like that. So in some ways, basically what AI is already doing. Uh, s- and yeah, so from that, it's you're already kind of doing that, but AI really just turns that up to 11 when you can, you know, almost abstract a level away from that, and then the AI is doing that, and then you're taking the results of that and incorporating it into a bigger picture that you want to put together. Um, I think another area where a rapid iteration can be good is um, basically not, there's kind of a sunken cost fallacy that often goes along with work or artwork or whatnot, where it's like if you're just going to spend a bunch of time on something and it doesn't turn out good, it's kind of the perfectionist curse, right? If it doesn't turn out good, then you've just wasted all this time, and the thing you're doing wasn't worth it, or you get kind of bitter or resentful at the process when it doesn't turn out the way you wanted it. So one of the cool things with AI is having less barrier to entry in that way, where if you can kind of flush out your idea super fast, see if there's something there before you've really committed a lot of time to it. And so, I mean, that might almost go on a cons list too, but depending on how you believe you get to the end of creativity. But um, yeah, so for me, like, it's been really cool kind of putting stuff together quickly, and projects that might have been daunting before, where I want to, I see this project I want to do, and it's like, well, I probably have to get a at least practice for 5 years before I can even begin to you know bring life to this project I've wanted. It's like now I can just do it and at least get it to the point where I can visualize it within days or weeks or whatnot. So um I do think that's a pretty big pro for AI and stuff. When it comes to cons, um this is definitely going to be more, I don't know, maybe nuanced or philosophical, but um there's kind of the idea that it's taking away from the creative process. And while in some senses I think certain parts are getting replaced, of the process, overall, it's hard to say because, it's like when one door closes, another's going to open up somewhere creatively, potentially. And so, it's like the opportunity we see right now for honing your craft at painting or, image generation or even writing in some cases uh, might go out the window, but that doesn't mean other things won't open up down the road. But and kind of touching on the previous point too of it's like if you are iterating really quickly, then and you don't have to spend time steeped in the process. It's like if some of the if some of the creative spark of inspiration or something is gained in that slow, you know, grinding it out process, then I guess that would be a con too. I guess it's, yeah, really just, yeah, you got to really, I guess, figure out, yeah, where the magic comes from. Is it, and if you can, I mean, maybe for some people it does come in that process, like the kind of slow working it through process of, they get maybe something from the work or the tedious work where, you know, I think it's pretty well known that doing physical exercise or kind of also monotonous tasks or something actually helps your brain kind of mull through ideas and process stuff. So maybe there is something there. I do think though that even if that's the case, there's probably ways to account for that, I guess, where if you know I mean, you can't always be iterating and be creative. There has to be time for reflection, but whether or not it has to be in the dull work, I guess, part of it is up for debate in my mind, at least. And so, I think if you're cognizant of that, it might be possible to, you know, instead of the dull work being the reflective time, you can spend reflective time in meditation or, going for walks in nature or something. And so you're just replacing the thoughtful process as far as the work side of things with maybe a more fulfilling, at least personally fulfilling thing um, outside of that. Another con would be just kind of the amount of work and creative, creative works that are going to be out there. It's already hard to sort through a lot of irrelevant information and stuff, but that's only going to be 10 times as much. And so, at that point, yeah, I mean, maybe you'll have to start using AI to sort through all these AI outputs of things. But I do think one kind of con, or another factor that comes from the flood of output is, so basically, as more just kind of subpar things get put out there, and that increases, ultimately, if we keep, or if AI keeps going down the direction of like collecting more data, and they're collecting this subpar AI work, like that's gonna go back into the system eventually at some point. And so I wonder what that'll do to, AI models and systems where, it's like if you start feeding in this soulless, um, uninspired work in some sense, or just things that are generated randomly, it's just going to increase the noise in the system. And that kind of goes back to the entropy from last week as well. Um, so yeah, I think just having that amount of output is just going to be overwhelming. And yeah, it's going to be present a problem that I think needs to be solved in the probably near future. So, um, and then the other thing too, kind of a final topic, is the idea of people's output exceeding their inspiration. So the idea being that if I think because, or so maybe creative people will be able to identify with this, but if you kind of have an idea for something, right? And then you go and you start to make that idea reality. Um, and then, for people that like to just go binge and get it done, you'll kind of notice a point where, your inspiration for the idea, your passion, your energy for the idea just run out. And so you kind of almost run out of the idea in some sense. And you got to go back to the drawing board, or, take a pause or whatnot. And you kind of run out of that magic, for lack of a better word, that's kind of making it all work or makes it feel right and good. Um, and so with AI, it's more of a case now where I think you can get to that point faster in some sense. You kind of have your idea and you just put it all out there, and then now you're kind of stuck waiting for the next idea in some sense. And before it would have been maybe weeks before you could even realize your vision or the thing you wanted, and now you're going to be able to faster and faster just realize the thing. And so I do wonder, at what point, if there'll be some sort of equilibrium, I guess, where people's ideas kind of match the pace of what they can do or accomplish, you know? And so if one of those things becomes out of whack, basically, or out of balance. So I mean, in this case, it's more so that your ability kind of exceeds your imagination, then I wonder what that's going to do. It's like, because if you're not like, basically, once you're done being inspired, you're just pumping out content for the sake of content, I guess. And so maybe that'll means people will, use these powerful tools less, but when they do, like, it'll like allow them, I guess, maybe more time away from the craft or something, I guess, where they can do the same amount in less time. So then they can spend more time kind of recharging or, thinking, or hopefully, well, probably what we'll see more more so is that people will just try to outcompete each other, I guess, in what the amount they can do. And so I do think that'll cause people to kind of step away from, I don't want to make like a moral judgment, but some of the integrity, I guess, of the artistic process, whatever that looks like for the individual. And so they'll just try to like pump out more and more stuff without really kind of marinating in good ideas and and things that inspire and lift people up. So um, and that kind of leads to basically probably what's going to be the end of every one of my episodes, which is just calling for balance and people to try to find what that balance looks like in their life. With these coming technologies, finding out where to put things that make sense in their lives, how to order things to kind of maximize the benefit for them and for the world. So yeah, I think if we can find like the balance of using these tools to in our own lives and just according to our own consciences to not overly flood things and yet and kind of start from a place of like genuine human ideals, I guess. Or you know start from a human place and then use the tools to enhance that basically, and find out that balance first before you just let the tool kind of run your life. So that'll be the end of that episode. I appreciate everyone watching and all your attention, and I'll see you in the next one.
They said we better accentuate the positive, eliminate the negative. Latch on to the affirmative.